Hello, hello, welcome back to another Cranfaerie video. I'm Maya and today we're going to be setting up my bullet journal spread for March 2021. This time I decided to do a cacti theme and I think it turned out really cute. I had a lot of fun with this. I wanted to play more with the gouache that I used with my first spread for the year with my jellyfish theme or underwater theme. So I decided to play around with it again and do a bit more of a bright, colorful theme rather than a blended theme. I wanted to have some pops of color and keep things really zesty and fun. So I decided to keep it to a warm palette of the oranges and yellows and then have a little pop of blue teal color in there. And then of course the green that comes out when you're using the actual cactuses in the spread. I've always been a really huge fan of cactuses. I'm kind of a plant killer in my day-to-day life. Garden plants are fine. I can grow rosemary and sage and all those things very well. I can plant seeds, but for some reason houseplants die on me, except for our yam. We have I call it a pet yam. His name is Cthulhu Yam, and he is a yam that just started sprouting, and then we planted him, and now he's ginormous. So apparently if I don't try, they grow, but otherwise, they just die. So I used to have a lot of cactuses, and unfortunately recently I murdered them all, so we're back down to no cactuses. So this is kind of my little homage to cactus plants. Maybe one day I will try to actually grow them again, and hopefully I'll succeed. But for the time being, I'll settle for this March spread. I went over this a couple times while I was drawing, but basically I set up the planters and then went over and did some patterning. And when I was going over these, it was a little hard to get it to get like a really deep color because the gouache tends to be a little softer in tone. On redoing this, I would probably do it, like if I was to do it again, I would do it with marker or I'd do it with acrylic paint. Just because with the gouache, it looks really nice, but it also ended up being quite light. So I had to use quite a bit of paint to actually get the coverage that I wanted. And obviously I am still an amateur at this, so it was a bit of a learning curve getting the right textures and really getting the details I wanted in there. But I'm really happy with how it came out at the end of the day. Next I went in and added the greenery and the actual cactuses to the planters. And I just used two different shades of green for this. I went with a dark green and a light green, kind of a more khaki, and then the foresty color. And then afterwards I added in like the textures and some of the spiny details. But I did do a brief sketch of this beforehand, so I had an idea of how I was doing them and sort of which types of cactuses would go in each of the planters. But other than that, I was kind of on the fly with it. I thought this turned out really nice, and I find with the gouache, the nice thing with the gouache was I was able to layer it a little bit more, so like I could get some of the spines to look like they were farther forward and some to look like they were farther back, and then use the same color to build depth to it, which was really fun. And I think it turned out nice. I enjoyed doing each of these little details, and I just watched a movie while I was doing this, so it was pretty serene actually. Doing the planters, I found I was a little bit more stressed just because I didn't want to mess it up, and then by the time I got to the plants I was definitely more in the flow of things. If you guys end up doing this spread or something similar, I'd love to see what it looks like. You can either send it to me on social media, either Instagram, tag Cranfaerie, or just, send me a link in the comments. But I would love to see what you guys are doing. I went over and did a couple of different types of cactuses. I had traced them obviously, so it was a little easier to do. And I thought they suited each of the different planters and kind of gave it a varying height balance, which made it look very dynamic. Then I went in to add in the spines, and the one I'm doing right now is my favorite, to be honest, because I used to have a ton of these guys. Me and my partner actually went and bought one at the plant sale at the university a couple years ago. Obviously it's dead now because I'm a plant murderer, but I did pick one of those up, and it was very cute for a while there. I can't decide if I overwatered it or if I underwatered it or if it was direct sunlight. I really don't know the cause of death, which is kind of sad because I would love to grow more things and be a green thumb when it comes to cactuses and indoor plants, but alas, I'm better with livestock. I will have chickens one day, and I will have all kinds of vegetable garden things, because I can take care of that fine. It's just indoor plants that I murder, apparently. This bad boy was fun. I did a nice layered effect with it and then added in a little bit of brown just to give it a little bit more depth. And then I think I actually did go in with a little yellow as well, just to, add in a little surprise factor there. And I think it turned out I think it got the spine effect that I was looking for. I did actually end up using purple too. I forgot about that. So I ended up adding little flowers to a couple of them because I wanted to give it just a little bit of something else to kind of bring the page together. And I knew that this guy on the end was going to have a flower. So I gave that little middle one a flower and then went over and finished up that one. The last one I did afterwards, and it's just a cute little boober. I don't know. I had fun with the spread. It was definitely for sure a time-consuming one. I think for sure if you're looking for simple spreads, I would do pencil, crayon, and marker. Using the gouache is really fun, but it takes forever, especially if you're trying not to smudge things, as some of us do all the time. I'm very left-handed, so there was a lot of smudging. There were tears. I was very frustrated by the end of this, I'm not gonna lie. But I managed to solve it. I fixed all of my little mistakes, and I think in the end you'll see it turned out quite nice, and I'm very happy about it. I'm excited to fill it out next month. And so we're doing the last one now, and I don't know, there's something about that container. I just love that it's just yellow with polka dots. Something about it just brings me great joy. After that, I came in and did a couple of spines on there just to add a little bit more texture and, just make it pop a bit more. And I found it was a little unbalanced because the one side had the spines on the big, what is that, brown planter. So I wanted to kind of complete it. And then I just added the title in there. I'm not totally sold on this. I did a couple of different marker techniques on it, and I don't really like the text, to be honest. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I ended up just going over it 3 times. My partner says it looks good, and I'm sure it's not terrible, but I don't know. Something about it isn't quite working for me. I keep doing this font. I should practice doing more typefaces. I think next month probably I'll go in and be a bit more adventurous with typefaces. This month I mostly wanted to focus on the planters, so I didn't go too crazy with them. But yeah, so here I'm just going around the edges and adding in a border because I thought that would make it stand out a bit more. This was a mistake, to be honest. Being left-handed, this is the bit where all the smudging happened and none of my lines were even. So I went a little nuts, spending an hour or however long it took trying to get things to line up. And yeah, it caused a lot of grief, but I do think it turned out well in the end. But it was a process, and I kind of wish going forward, and I'll put this out to anybody left-handed, go from the right side of the page to the left side of the page, because I have learned over the years to be right-handed in my techniques and just go from left to right. But it's not worth it. It's so messy and it doesn't work for lefties. So I'm going to attempt to train myself out of that and go from the right side to the left side instead from now on, because it's just so stressful. All right, so I've been spending too much money, and this has been an ongoing issue for me. And my partner was like, okay, we got to put a goal in place for spending. So last month we set up I don't know how to explain it. Basically, it's a budget tracker, but I can spend up to $100, and after I spend $100, I can't get my owl crate. So you may notice a couple months where I am sans owl crate. It's very sad, and I'm not happy about it. But for instance, I have my one coming for this month, and then next month I get to skip it because I spent over $100 on garbagey things. Not garbagey things, let's be fair. I bought fun things like bubble tea kits for us to do as a date, and fun activities, clothing, donuts, but it's all stuff I didn't really need, so it went into my extra spending fund, which contributes to my owl crate. So basically I set up one for next month as well, and each of those little sections of the cactus is a $10 amount. And then when I get to 100, I don't get owl crate, so I'm going to make a big effort next month to not go over that. And then he did also suggest if I go over 150, then I don't get the next month's owl crate, because I went over 100 this month and then just kept spending money because I'd already lost owl crate. So I think I agreed to that. We'll see. I am up to potentially getting another job, and that one I will be making a bit more money, so I'm going to barter to get that raised once that happens, because I will actually have spending money at that point. At this point, we are definitely on the same page that I shouldn't be spending as much, but I'm a bougie girl. What can I say? Anyways, so I did the teal and then went over it with pen, and you'll see I ended up going back over my planter on the first page with pen as well. I just decided I liked the clean black ink look that went with it. So I just went around the edges and tidied it up a little bit. And just, I think it really brings it out, makes it pop. And I went over the text and did this fun color. This I liked a lot more. I wish I'd have started with this on the main page because I would have done this for the other one, like for the March text. Because I did the blue and then I went over with a little bit of yellow and it just really made it pop and it looked really sharp and fun and just fit the vibe I was going for. So I'm really happy with how this came out. So I did a little dotty doodle thing, and then I went over to my habit tracker. This one, we'll see how this goes. I'm a little curious about if this is actually going to work as a tracker or not. I wanted to do something really fun and creative for my tracker this month and not just my usual lines, because usually I'll do like my little, either I'll do circles or I'll do the grid or I'll do just something basic like a chart. But anyways, so this month I decided to do some hanging planters. And you might say, where are you actually going to track things? And my answer to that is on the ropes. Now, the one question mark in my mind is if I actually calculated 31 squares on each of those, because I had to draw in each of the sections of the rope. I think I managed it eventually, but I guess we'll see. Either way, I'm going to just fill them in best I can and hope for the best. But I think it'll look really cool, and I liked how the planters turned out. And it was really fun drawing them, which, I mean, let's be fair. At the end of the day, it's more about the drawing than anything else for me. And tracking things. But, you know, when I'm doing these spread setups, it's all about the drawing and having fun. I tried to make sure that each of these planters had a unique type of plant in it and just had a lot of fun getting the different textures in there and just playing around. Honestly, this was a really fun setup for me because it was very unique. Each different page had something going for it that was a little bit more creative than the next. And I had a lot of fun setting it up and just getting things figured out as I went. It was very zen. So here I added the heading. I wanted to do the same fun font effect, so I just did the swooshy lettering and then I went over it with that yellow and the blue, and I think it's so pretty. I don't know. This is kind of my favorite color combo, to be honest. I've recently become very addicted to these two colors. You may notice in my fashion I wear a lot of browns now and a lot of yellow, and I love blue, so. It's funny because as a kid, purple, green, and blue are always my favorites. I didn't really like warm colors. And the older I've gotten, the more I'm liking them. And I've recently hit a bit of a weird 50s and, well, I was doing 50s before, but it seems like I'm slowly sinking into the 60s and 70s with my fashion. Not sure how I feel about that, but I guess it's turning out fine. I like the clothing I have, so I guess that's the main thing. And I think, well, I was going to talk about the planter, but then I got distracted again. I also cut my hair recently, and the bangs are now very 70s, and I'm kind of digging them. I'm loving having bangs right now, but it's kind of a random aside. But yeah, I had fun cutting my own hair, and I've been doing it, well, since before the pandemic, because honestly, every time I go to a hairdresser, they just give me a bob. So anyways, back to the spread. So I went over the plants with the 2 shades of green and just went around and did the planters. I added a little bit of blue to the little air plants to make sure it looked a little bit more like glass, and a little touch of yellow just to give it that contrasty flare effect. I don't have a ton of shades of brown, so I just kind of went over with the couple shades I had. The nice thing is with the Tombow brush pens, they do allow you to actually go over them multiple times to get that layered effect. And with my bullet journal, it's nice and thick, so it hasn't bled through at all. Okay, mood tracker. So the mood tracker, I decided I wanted to do just a giant cactus with the same number of strips as days in the month. So I filled it out like this. I was pretty loose with my line work here. It's a little all over the place, but honestly, I was trying to keep this one kind of fast and loose anyways. So I just let it go and let the lines be relaxed and fun. I think the plant on top is one line technically. Like I'm going to do the plant all one color and then each of those stripes will be separate. I can't remember. I don't even remember if I numbered it. I guess we'll see. But either way, it should have the same number as the number of days in the month. I did count it, and I triple checked that it was the right number of days in the month this time, unlike February. And then I just went in and added some color as usual. You can see on the right side there I did my sleep tracker. I did it a bit differently this month, and I'm curious to see how it works. I basically set it up with the number of days in the month, which I haven't actually penned in yet, but I did down the side I have the days of the month, and then at the top I've split it into two columns. One column is the number of hours I slept, and the other one is how well I slept. So I'm going to fill out a number of stars. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I guess I'll probably just put a bar to, like, if it's 1 star, I'll just put a dot under the 1 star or something, or maybe I'll fill it in with actual stars. I haven't decided yet. So, but either way, I'm going to fill in that side for the quality of the sleep and the other side for the number of hours, just to give myself an idea of how things are going. I also added in a little bit of texture on the rocks, in like the gravel under the mood tracker, just to make things look a little bit more detailed. And I actually did end up going around all my spreads and doing pen just to add a little bit more of a sharp look to things. The lettering, I did the same effect, and then I just did some swooshy little lines, and I think the swooshy little lines just gave it a little something. And actually I didn't do quite the same effect because I did leave one yellow and one blue. I didn't want to do it exactly the same as the other one. Then we set up the doodle tracker, which last month I used it for quite a bit. I didn't end up doing it for the whole month. I think I'm going to try and do more this month, but I got distracted halfway through the month and by a book and then never came back. Because I am reading Leviathan Wakes, and I was reading Anxious People, and both books have been very good. Anxious People is by Frederick Bachman, and oh my goodness, is it a fun book. So good. It made me bawl and laugh, and all the things you want from a book. And then Leviathan Wakes is the first book of the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, and it's the one, there's a TV show on Prime called Expanse that's based off it, and the book is amazing. It's so well done, and I am just inhaling it. It's our current book club book, and I can't talk about it enough. But anyways, after I finish doing this video, I'm going to go and read some more of it, or play some guitar. I haven't decided. On the note of filming videos, though, I will mention I am still working on my crocheted Medusa video, or not crocheted, sorry, embroidered Medusa video. That is going to be coming. I haven't finished it yet, obviously. I'm working on it. Seems to be a bit of a long-term project, so it may take me a little while to get that one finished. But I will have it up for you, never you fear. And again, if you have any suggestions for other videos you want to see, if it's sewing or other related things with crafts, just let me know, or anything about writing, and I can touch on it in a new video. But yeah, anyways, I did the text here, and then I went over and did some plant life. And then I went and added in this little shelf. I was really happy with this one. It was fun to draw, and I liked doing all the different types of plants. I did one little vase that you can see I'm drawing right now. It's just like a little root coming out of water, so that was a little different. And then, you know, some of the same plants as on the other pages, and just continued adding on new things. Then I colored it in. Again, don't have that many shades of brown, so that made it a little bit more complicated for my planters. I could have gone in with the gouache, but by this point I was so tired of painting that I just went in and did marker, not gonna lie. But I tried to keep the palette quite consistent, and you may have noticed I've started using pen for a lot of it too. I did go back over a lot of my stuff that I did in gouache and added a border to it. So I got some cool effects that ended up in there. Yeah, I really like it. I think it turned out really nice. And I think I did a proper flip through at the end. I was very tired by the end of this. I think it took me 3 movies to finish this on different days. So I was powering along, and honestly, I can't believe it's the 27th today. I once again am getting this out at the end of the month, and I thought this was going to be out like 2 weeks ago. But work has apparently taken most of my time, and then the rest of my time has been actually doing this and then getting distracted. been trying to play more Hollow Knight and play some video games. I have not been streaming. I apologize. I know some of you follow my streaming, but I have been so burnt out that it has not happened. And we currently are sharing the work computer for, well, sometimes gaming, and then we have to share the desk for the work stuff, and we only have one monitor, so that's making it way harder to stream. So probably going to get back to that at some point in the near future, but at the moment it's kind of on hold, except when I, want to drag the monitor from one room to the other. And then I set up and do something. But I played this game Para Aspa a couple weeks ago, and that was quite fun. But it's definitely gonna be a little more hit and miss for that. Okay, so the last thing I got up to here was setting up the weekly tracker. This month I decided to do another boxy setup. And this time I wanted to have more room for leaving notes, because I actually do like to write the journal entries at the end of the week or end of the day. So for this one I gave myself quite a bit of room for notes, and then left the right hand side of each for some generalized common, tasks for the day. I also gave myself a section called next week that's just for me to fill in if I feel like there's something I need to kind of move forward or I want to remind myself of that's coming up. I probably will end up filling that in just right on the next month's spread, to be honest, but I had extra space, so I thought maybe it could be useful for something. Or actually, I might have called it notes. If it's notes, then I'll probably just use it for song recommendations or other things that come up during the week. No, it is next week. Never mind. But I could also use it for notes. I think last month I did one called notes, so maybe I'll do that. But to be fair, I didn't end up filling that one in either, so it may be just extra. When I do my my carryover to the next journal, we'll probably go over some of these things and see what was useful in the first 6 months of the year, and then decide from there. Also, if you guys have any suggestions for bullet journals you really like, I'm trying to decide what to use for my next one. I'm leaning towards an Archer and Olive one, but at the moment I haven't picked one, so if you have any suggestions, let me know. I wrapped this up by just adding a little bit of washi tape in the corners, and then it was done. Alright, so here's the final flip through. You can see it ended up looking really fun with that pen. This is our title page, obviously. Then we had our budget tracker and the habit tracker. I'm really excited to see how those ropes turn out. And you can see I added a little bit of extra texture in the rocks there as well. My mood tracker and the sleep tracker. And this one's a little messier, but I'm happy with it. It'll do what it's supposed to do. It's quite cute though as well. And I think it'll look good once it's filled in. The Doodle A Day section. Hopefully this month I'll actually complete it. I might end up going back and doodling a little bit for my other pages too. So I still need to go and do my 2021 cactus addition to the main page, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So that'll be posted on the Instagram when I'm done it. For now though, this is the full spread. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. Take care. Bye.